Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I don't think I've showed this kitchen yet, but maybe the fridge looks familiar. We did move our fridge from our previous house to this house, so maybe the background looks familiar, but we're in a new kitchen. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I am going to be sharing some inspiration is how I want you to look at this. This isn't how you have to cook. I just get a lot of inspiration myself from seeing kind of the things that people throw together for dinner. And since this is the bulk of how I cook and make meals in my house, I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm implementing a new video that's going to come out once a month at the end of the month, where I'm sharing the dinners that I've kind of thrown together. This is the perfect month to start, November, because my husband and I, well, first off, I've been doing a lot of travel. I have been gone out of state the past 2 weekends. So we already are kind of running low on groceries, but I always have a good freezer pantry situation going. So I'm challenging myself because we are traveling for a week to Vegas in 2 weeks. So I'm challenging myself for the whole month of November. It's November 3rd today, to buy only absolutely necessary groceries. So what do I mean by that? Milk, eggs, things that like can't keep for an entire month, or things that I know that we go through a lot of. I want to try to keep my weekly grocery pickup to less than $40, somewhere between $30 and $40. I just picked it up and it was $36, I think, with the pickup fee. But it was literally like milk, eggs, half and half, some shredded cheese, some lunch meat, kind of like those little snacky things. I did get a couple things like sausage that were on sale. So that's typically what I tend to do. I tend to like look at what's on sale, grab some, throw it in my freezer, which is how I build up a good freezer stock. But I already did kind of to pull together random meals on November 1st and November 2nd. So I'll just quickly tell you what those things are. But for the most part, this is going to be me showing you kind of what I'm throwing together for dinner that night and like the work that it took, so you can see really how easy it is to cook from scratch. And then hopefully this inspires you to kind of go look through your fridge. I mean, this is the basis of how most Italians cook. We kind of just like open up a fridge. You're taught to just like pull things together and make something happen. So every time I cook, I rarely make the same thing twice unless it's like a specific recipe I'm following. But for the most part, I'm gonna be cleaning out my fridge. So on Tuesday was November 1st. Today is Thursday. But on Tuesday, I always have tons of dry pasta that I usually like. I think I was at BJ's. I'd never been to BJ's. We went there last month with my father-in-law, and I picked up, they had Barilla. I never see Barilla at like a Costco, Sam's Club situation, but they had a big box of Barilla. So I always have a bunch of like dry pasta and stuff on hand. And I threw together the easiest pasta dish. That was penne, a little bit of pasta water, a container of, or a bag of frozen peas, and then I made the sauce out of that pasta water, a little bit of butter, some Parmesan, and then what else? Tons of fresh black pepper, and I think that was it, truthfully. It was like a delicious, quick pasta, like buttery pasta, but with all the frozen peas. It was like honestly 50% peas, 50% pasta, so bulked it up a lot with the peas, and it added a nice touch. So that was Tuesday's dinner. Yesterday, my husband and I lost my voice this past weekend. I'm not sick, but my voice feels scratchy. And then my husband has had this weird little like dry tickle in his throat for a couple days. So I looked at him and we were both like, yes, Pastina is where it's at. Google it if you don't know what it is, but it's like the classic comfort food that your mom makes for you. Your Italian mom makes for you when you don't feel good. So now obviously I make my own pastina when I don't feel good, but yeah, I looked at him and I was like, I want pastina, but we were out of chicken broth, which is pretty rare for me. I always have pastina and chicken broth on hand. It's just like little pasta, hence the name pastina. I was out of chicken broth and I found some tomato products in my cupboard because again, always have tomatoes on stock. So I whipped up a quick little pastina where I cooked the pasta in water and tomato sauce, kind of like 50-50. And then what did I add? I had like a tablespoon of cream cheese. That was like, I didn't have any use for it, and so I always keep that on hand even when we don't have bagels or anything like that, because it's really good to add a little bit of creaminess to a sauce. So I added like a tablespoon of plain cream cheese, and then some Italian seasoning, and like kept it really soupy. And Mikey said that he liked it better than normal pastina, which is a big compliment because normal pastina is bomb. If you know, you know. So that was last night's dinner. It was like kind of a soupy pastina, tomatoey situation. And here's what I'm planning on doing for tonight. Hopefully the intros will be a lot less long in future videos, but I'm just warning you, this might be like a 40-50 minute video once a month. Anyways, my husband and I were watching one of our favorite shows, Chef's Table, but they just came out with Chef's Table Pizza, and we haven't watched that yet. So we started it last night. We watched like 2 minutes in, we looked at each other and we were like, pizza tomorrow. So I don't know if you can see my little buddy right here. I am going to attempt to make, what is her first? Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone. She's my go-to for like all my sourdough needs. And that's what this was that I was referring to. This is my sourdough starter that I took out of the fridge last night, but she makes pizzas with her sourdough starter. Like, that's it, like for the dough portion. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make some pizzas. So it worked out perfectly because I had some extra tomato sauce. This is, I also store everything. I reuse jars because I am a little Italian grandma inside. And so this is just a random jar that I have filled with tomato sauce that I didn't use from yesterday. So we have sauce. I picked up some shredded mozzarella. And what's the other thing? I found a couple pieces of bacon. So we are gonna have sourdough pizzas with sauce, shredded mozzarella, bacon, and probably like a ton of dried basil is what I'm thinking. Maybe a little rosemary because I like a little bacon rosemary situation. I'm thinking that's what the deal is gonna be. I don't have to make the pizzas until later because it's 10:30 in the morning right now. Something I do need to do is feed my starter, which I'll show you in a second. Here's the starter right now. She's nice and bubbly and stinky smelling. Good stinky. Should never be bad stinky. We're gonna feed the starter, and then I think I'm gonna throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 slices of bacon. So I think we're gonna throw these in the oven, honestly, and get those cooked up so I don't have to deal with like bacon grease splatter on the stove. So that everything is prepped, and then tonight we'll be able to throw these pizzas together super quickly and feed that pizza craving that we got from watching Chef's Table Pizza. We've only watched the 1 episode, but I highly recommend it. Put it on your Netflix. All the Chef's Table seasons are so good, but warning, they will make you hungry. So I'm just gonna show you how I feed my starter. It's super easy. If you have always wanted to try sourdough and you're nervous or intimidated, I will link Lisa's blog down below. I mean, I bought all the books, I bought all the things, did all the research, and I honestly threw it all out the window because she makes it so easy, and I have been using my starters now like over 2 years old. So it's clearly working. And yeah, I'll link all of her stuff, her recipe for sourdough pizza down below. Let's feed the starter and then cook up some bacon. Okay, so this is what trying to get out of the light for you, but it's kind of hard. Hopefully you can see that okay. This is what it looks like when I pull can you see the bubbles? So normally I would stir this up, discard some, because as you can see, there's a lot. This is like not quite half full, but almost half full. And I would normally discard, but since I know that I'm gonna be using a lot of this starter for my pizza tonight, I actually want a lot of starter. So what I'm gonna do is give this a really good mix. I want everything to be combined, okay? When you mix it up like that, you should see little like bubbles coming to the surface. That's normal. So I'm gonna add 2 cups of flour-ish. Again, we don't really measure here. And then this is a cup of water. Now, if I had discarded, this texture right now is a little runnier than I want it to be. So that's why I'm adding more flour than water, because I actually want it to be a little bit thicker. But again, this all comes with experience. The more that you do it, the more it'll make sense and you'll figure it out. But I want this to be, the texture to be like thick pancake dough is what Lisa always says. And I found that that is what makes the best starter for me. Your ratios are also gonna depend on the time of year, the climate that you live in. So if you live somewhere where it's super dry, like low humidity, you're going to need more water. If you live somewhere like, I mean, but I notice differences even when I'm making my sourdough in the summer versus the winter. If I make it in the summer when it's more humid, I need more flour, less water when I'm like physically making the bread, or doing this with the starter. But in the winter when it's drier, I typically need more water, a little less flour, as far as like the ratio goes. But again, it sounds super intimidating, but I promise you it is not. Now, once this is stirred up, you should notice, like, hopefully you can see that it's gotten bubbly again. So like it's all mixed up, but like bubbles have started to come to the surface. That's what you want. That means it's like alive and active and going. So now we're just gonna set our lovely tub over on the counter with this towel loosely draped across until dinner time, so that till it's time to make our pizzas. I will also link that specific container down below. I bought it off of Amazon and it came with, I got it because it came with this lid, which is really great for when you're not actively using and feeding your starter, you have to keep it in the fridge. So I just pop this on and then stick it in the fridge, and it, like, I've literally set it in there for more than a month and then taken it out and revived it. So it is so easy to deal with, but I'll link this all down below. Okay, time for bacon. I have a regular, this is a 12 by 17 baking sheet, and then I have my rack. I'm just gonna place a piece of aluminum foil underneath here because I am gonna collect the bacon fat to keep for cooking later. So this is important to get crispy bacon, and it'll make your cleanup easier. So I'm gonna take out my bacon and just layer on there. I have 5 strips of bacon left. So we'll see. I was hoping to get a second meal out of this for tomorrow, but we'll see. I don't really know what the situation's gonna be. We'll see how much we use tonight. This bacon is gonna go into the oven. I have it preheating right now to 400, and then I'm just going to let it cook for 15 minutes. If you do it on the rack like this, you don't have to flip it, but if you don't have a rack, then you can just like have the time and then flip your bacon over. It's not gonna get quite as crispy, so I definitely recommend a rack, but again, it's not like absolutely necessity. You can still make bacon without it. So this is gonna go in the oven, and then yeah, I'll do 15 minutes. And then once 15 minutes hits, I will probably check it every 1 or 2 minutes to kind of see, because obviously everybody's oven is different. So this is my bacon before. All right, here's the after. Our bacon is cooked. I'm gonna let it cool off on this rack, and I'll scoop the bacon fat once it's solid into a jar to keep in the fridge to use later. Don't ever put hot bacon fat in a glass jar straight out of whatever, the stove, the oven, because you will shatter glass. I have done that before. I'm speaking from experience, so don't do it. So yeah, let it cool, scoop it into a jar, and then you can use it later in place of oil or anytime you need butter or anything. It's really good flavor. But for now, We're gonna let this bacon cool, and then I'll see you back here when it's time to make pizzas. All right, so here's the finished product. You preheat the oven with the cast iron pan in there, and then once it comes to 425, you take it out, you add the sourdough discard as your crust, bake it for 10 minutes, season it, and then, so I did one for Mikey and one for me. And then I just added sauce, mozzarella, bacon, and dried basil. And those are gonna be our pizzas. They're nice and thin crust, which is what we like, and super easy. All right, I'll see you for tomorrow's dinner. Pardon the noise of the dishwasher in the background, but tonight we are having Italian grinder sandwiches for dinner. I made some sourdough today because I had some salami and one piece of provolone cheese to use up and some romaine, which is in there. But I just sliced up some slices of the sourdough, put some salami and provolone on it, and broiled it for a couple minutes. Mikey's is without cheese because he does not like cheese. And then I made this little salad concoction that's gonna go on it, and this is Duke's mayo, red wine vinegar, garlic powder, salt, pepper, oregano, shredded, well, chopped up romaine really small, and then also I minced a shallot and put it in there. So that is gonna go on there, and I'll show you the finished product when they're on the plate. All right, here's the finished product. We have the sandwich all put together, and I think they're gonna be delicious. We love Italian grinders. It's that, if you look it up online, it's the TikTok Italian grinder that was going around for a while. I mean, I don't know if I've ever actually looked up a recipe, but I make something just like similar to what I've seen. So a great way to use up some leftovers, and I'll probably cut up some apples for the side. So that's our dinner tonight. Yum. Welcome to another night of cleaning out the fridge to make some dinner. Tonight we're gonna be making some pasta because I've mentioned before, we always have pasta on hand. And this started because I have half a pound of ground beef and half a pound of ground pork left over. I cook for a local family, and I had a little bit of meat left over from doing that all day today. So we're gonna use this up. We're gonna brown this with some onion. And then I have this little bit of tomato sauce left that I mentioned earlier. I actually used this on the pizzas a couple days ago. So we're gonna use that, and some heavy whipping cream to make kind of like a tomato-y cream sauce, some butter, some garlic, some onion, and then we're gonna put it over thin spaghetti. So I'll kind of fill you in a minute when we are actually cooking, because I'm about to start. So we're gonna brown up that meat and onions and garlic, and then start making the sauce from that while the pasta boils. So this is gonna be really quick, clean out the fridge meal. Okay, so here I have, this is the ground beef and the ground pork, the onions and the garlic. I just found a package of cherry tomatoes in the back of my fridge that need to be used. So we're gonna add all those guys in there. And we're actually gonna let these heat up a minute before we add the other tomatoes, because I want to heat these and then like smash them, which will be easier to do when they're warm. So let's let those get hot. Over here I have my spaghetti cooking, so we're gonna let this go for a couple minutes, and then add our tomato sauce. Okay, so I'm gonna add this, and then I am gonna add a little bit of water to this just to rinse out the jar, just like that, so that we get it all out. Perfect. Continue smushing the tomatoes down. I am gonna take that jar and grab a little bit of this pasta water Add that in. It's nice and starchy. I'll help make this a little bit saucier. Let's check on our pasta. Use like another minute. Again, you can totally do exactly what you want to do. Whatever you have in the fridge that you need to use up. You could throw some veggies in here. You have veggies that need to be used up. I'm gonna add like half a cup of cream. Heavy whipping cream. Check our pasta again. That's perfect. So we're gonna drain the pasta. We're gonna add the pasta directly in there. Toss this about. I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of butter. Just because I like to finish most pasta dishes with some butter and Parmesan cheese. It's easier to toss spaghetti if you use tongs, so that's what I'm gonna do here. This is looking good. I'm gonna turn off the heat. Add some grated Parmesan. Toss. And then I want to taste for salt. I'm just gonna take a spoon and taste this sauce. And that's delicious. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's plated. So there is tonight's dinner. I added a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of mine, but we basically made a clean out the fridge pasta to get rid of that extra beef and pork, and then those cherry tomatoes that were gonna go bad, and some heavy cream. I'm probably gonna serve this with some bread on the side because it's just one of those days and we have bread. So see you in the next dinner. Welcome back. Today we are making chicken fried rice. I have some leftover chicken tenders. Okay, so I have some leftover chicken tenders that we're gonna cut up and marinate in soy sauce, garlic and ginger, and then I have a bunch of leftover rice that we're going to use, 2 eggs, some green onions, and then I'm gonna shred some carrots as well. So I'm gonna prep the veggies and cut up some things, get the chicken marinating for like 10 minutes before it goes in here. This is just drying, which is the noise that you hear. We're gonna get that prepped and then we will start cooking. It's gonna be very quick once we have everything prepped. Okay, so let me show you here what I have prepped now. So we're gonna be pretty quick now. We have 2 shredded carrots, the chicken that's been marinating in some soy sauce. Our green onions have been sliced and I've saved the green for garnish at the end, but those we're gonna cook with. We have minced ginger, minced garlic, or more of a garlic paste, and then soy sauce, 2 eggs, and then this is our leftover rice that we're gonna use to make the fried rice part. So I'm gonna use my Staub iron brazier is what we're gonna use for this. So I'm gonna add a little bit of avocado oil and then we're gonna start cooking. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. So this is our chicken and our onion. Sauteing. While that's cooking, I'm actually gonna add 2 of these little cubes of frozen ginger. I buy knobs of ginger and then I grate it really finely and freeze it in this little cube and then store it in a bag once they're frozen so that you can have fresh ginger all year long. Ready to go without the work. And then this is a little bit of garlic paste. The smell of that ginger is so good. I have this on medium-high heat. I'm also gonna add in our shredded carrot. And we'll let that cook for a little bit. This is a good recipe if you have a bunch of veggies in your fridge that you want to use up. Like I had carrots and onions, green onions specifically. Okay. Next, I'm gonna turn the heat up to almost high. And I'm gonna add, we're gonna start with this big container of cooked rice. I wanna turn it up because you want that rice to fry. Yeah, that's gonna be plenty. So I'm gonna save this for another meal. You wanna hear it sizzling. You want it to brown. So you can't stir it too much. But every couple minutes you can stir it. Okay, in a little dish like this, I'm gonna add a little bit of more soy sauce, maybe like a tablespoon. And then I wanna add a little bit of heat, so I'm gonna take this chili garlic sauce. I'm gonna put like a teaspoon and mix that in with the soy sauce. Stir this up again. Next what we're going to do is we're going to make a little well right in the middle. It's time for our eggs. I'm going to crack 2 eggs. Which is hard to do with a thumb that you can't use. Right into the center. And I'm using my spatula. I'm just going to scramble them. No need to dirty a second dish. We're gonna let them cook for a few minutes, scramble them again. Let them cook for like 30-second intervals. And then so you can see once they are like almost all cooked, you can mix them in with the rest of the rice. Okay, now I'm going to pour that little soy sauce chili oil mixture that I had made over it. Again. Mix it up well. I'm going to taste. So good. I think it's perfect. So we're going to turn off the heat. Sprinkle our green onions on top. And that is ready to serve. So delicious. Yum. All right, that's tonight's dinner. I'm probably gonna toss it with a little bit of sesame seeds on top. I'll serve it with sesame seeds on top and then a little extra soy sauce maybe. We'll see. But that is tonight's Clean Out the Fridge cooking dinner. Bye.